morning, everybody. Welcome back to our World Learners session. I hope you've had a good week. What have you been up to? Have any of you been doing some more investigating into the continents around the world? Our continent for this week is Asia. Have any of you discovered the resources over on the Home Learning Hub? I know Lizzie's been sharing lots of different activities. Well, let's start with a few welcome alongs and a few shout outs to some of you I can see popping up into the chat. Great to have lots of familiar people returning again. Nice to see you this morning. Hi to Aurora, Willow, Caden, Oliver, Finley, Freddie, Georgia, Hannah, William and Samantha, Ezra and Alyssa. Lovely to have you. Whether you're joining us live or you're on catch up, a big welcome along. So as I said, we're exploring Asia, and in our World Learners session, we've been looking at different ways that we map the world. And we've also been focusing on particular countries in those continents too. So that's just what we'll do today. So we're going to start by zooming out, and we're going to look today at some different types of maps and what maps can be used for, more than just showing us where countries begin and end, maybe where capital cities are and things. What other ways are maps really useful? How else do we use them? So that's our zoom out section. Then we're going to zoom right in to South Korea today and find out a little bit more about that country. So let's get going. Some more people joining us. Lovely to see you, Jaden. Hello, Arthur and Tobias. Hello, Grace and Rose and Sherlock, Peter and Lucy. You know a bit of Korean. Oh, wow, fantastic. That's from Taekwondo. Oh, brilliant. Right, let's have a little look then, first of all, at some features of a map. So before we look at different types of map, most maps have these common features. We would expect to see these things on a map, but what are they? Can you see from that diagram there? What are those arrows pointing to? What's that at the top? What's that circle? What's that down at the bottom? What are those two things? I'm going to just disappear and make it a bit bigger. You see if you can tell me what those things are. And you don't need to type it in the chat necessarily. You can just have a chat about it with someone if you're watching along with. How are we getting on? How can we label some of those? What do you think then? So at the top, what have we got at the top? We've got a title right at the top there. And that is to tell us about the purpose of the map. So what's the point of that map? What's it about? For this, in this case, we've got a political map of Australia. Then we've got the compass rose, and that's to show us the direction of the map. So showing us north, south, east, and west. So we know which way is which. And then we've got a key. Yes, some of you said a key. So at the bottom there, and that's to show what different symbols on the map mean. So when you're creating a map, it'd be pretty impossible to draw every little detail that you want to show within that map. So those symbols are really useful, a really useful way of showing you the different features. Depending on the type of map, that key will be different. And then at the bottom there, we've got a scale, and that's to show the distance between places. Obviously, our map is a lot smaller than the real Australia. So that's showing us a scale by maybe, I can't quite see see it there. It's a bit little, isn't it? But so many centimetres would represent, say, so many miles. So you'd know the scale and how far each distance is. Super duper. Right. Now let's look at some different types of maps. Now we just saw a political map of Australia, and here's another example. Can you tell me what that continent is? Who can tell me? So political maps, they can show countries. They can show countries' boundaries, so what the shape of each individual country, where its boundary line is. They can also show the cities. Some of the main cities might be shown on a political map, and the capital cities in particular. And yes, Ezra, that's Africa. Well done. And we've got the seas and oceans as well that surround that area of land. That would be shown on a political map, the names of those seas and oceans. But what don't they show? What don't they show? So we've got our political map here. It's clearly showing us the different countries in Africa, showing us the oceans. We might even have some, we've got a couple of kind of major lakes, perhaps some rivers marked on there. But what else aren't they showing? Or don't they usually show? What do you think? Yeah, they might not show particular landmarks or smaller towns. Yes, spot on. So they don't necessarily give us that level of detail. What else do you think? Are they showing us where the mountain ranges are? Are they showing us where areas of desert might be? They're not showing us any of that, are they? So they're not really showing us many of the physical features of that land, other than this is the land, this is the water. We haven't got any other physical features being shown. Yes, spot on, no mountains. Roads and mountains. Yes, Hannah Williams-Fanther, we can't see roads on there yet. We can't perhaps see the temperature or the climate. Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot it does tell us, a political map. But there's a lot about the country or the continent geographically that it's not telling us. Let's look at a different type of map. So we call these physical maps. Now, this type of map shows the physical features of an area. So that's things like the major rivers and the lakes. They'll be shown usually in blue. The relief, which means the shape of the land. So there's our mountains or our areas of high elevation being shown there. They would show us areas of desert and particular landforms such as volcanoes. So quite different to a political map. Can we see any countries marked on this map? Any borders between countries being shown? No, they're not. So no individual countries are shown. What continent is being shown here? Oh, Ezra, you were straight in again. Well done. And another. Well done, guys. Yep, so that's Europe being shown there. And that's our physical map. Right, let's have a look at another one. These types of maps called thematic maps. A thematic map is a map that's designed to show information about one single topic. So just one thing, that's what it's focusing on. It's not focusing on all of the physical features. It's not showing us divisions between different countries or areas. It's focusing on one particular thing. And for example, we've got that one on the left there, which is showing the population density of the United States of America. So we've got a little key there. Don't worry, we don't need to be able to see it in much detail. And we've got our map and those different colours showing us the populations. Doesn't usually show political or physical features. What's this thematic map showing? The one on the right then? Can you tell me that? What do you think? What do you reckon that's showing? Hala says temperature, the climate. Yes, spot on. Yeah. So temperature kind of kind of similar to climate, yeah, but climate, we're talking about the different climate areas of this. Let's have a look. We've got, I'm sorry, I'm zooming because my eyes are terrible. I should put my glasses on, really. I'm squinting at the screen. So we've got monsoon climates, tropical, savanna climates, warm desert climates, cold desert climates. So all those different climate areas that we've got there, and that's how that country's been divided, just on the basis of its climate, not by different towns or areas, not by its physical features. It's not showing us any mountains or any deserts, it's showing us the climate. We might be able to come to some conclusions about where deserts might be, where cooler or warmer areas would be. But yeah, it's only focusing on that one thing. Well done, guys. Right. Next of all, we've got topographical maps. A topographical map uses contour lines. Have you come across these before? To show the relief of the landscape. So by relief, we're meaning the variation in the landscape in its elevation. So how high and low land it is. We can identify landforms such as hills, plains. We've got large flat areas, valleys, using these maps. So have a little look. We've got lots and lots of contour lines all over this. And we can see that some contour lines are really spaced out and some much closer together, much more bunched in. We've got loads all together. What do you think the difference is? When the lines are close together, it means that the hill or the mountain is... what word would you fit in that gap? And when the lines are something, it means the land is gently sloping or undulating, going up and down more gently. What words would you fit in those gaps? We think the first one, the mountain is high. Okay, is it high up? Yeah. So we're trying to find a word to fit in that bottom gap as well. Steep, Aurora. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. So all those close together lines show us that, yes, it's going to a high point, but it's going up really steeply. So we've bunched those lines together nice and closely. So steep is a great word to use there. And when the lines are what? It means the land is gently sloping. So it's going to be, yeah, the opposite. So when the lines are further apart, that means we've got more of a gentle slope. So those contour lines bunched up together means it's going up steep. You're in for a mountain climb. But spread apart means, yeah, we've got less of a dramatic change in the elevation. Well done. Right. We've got road maps yet next. Have any of you used these before? Any of you got sat navs in your cars? Or maybe use maps on a phone to find your way to places. So road maps are used to show the major and minor roads of an area. The roads maps might also show us towns, cities, airports, other points of interests like campsites or parking. They might show churches or pubs or footpaths and things like that as well. Match the road symbols with the type of road. So I muddled those up there. Can you match up the right one? What do we think number one is? It's got main road next to it, but I'll tell you it isn't. If we see a blue line on a road map, you've used a road map from Alyssa. Oh, well done. Can you identify those different types of roads? What do you think? The blue one, then we've got a kind of wide red one with a line down the middle. Then we've got a narrower red one, and then we've got the yellow one. What do you think? And our choices are main road, motorway, secondary road, and dual carriageway. Right, Arthur thinks number one is in fact a motorway. 2, we think, is a main road. What do we think? Do we agree with that? What about the yellow one at the bottom? Hannah, William and Samantha, you agree with Arthur that the motorway is definitely the blue one. I think we're spot on with that one. So what about these other ones? Arthur thinks perhaps 2 is a dual carriageway. What do you think? Shall we? Oh, I haven't done a slide with them all sorted out. Right, let's go through the right answer then. Yes, number 1 is a motorway. Then we've got the second sort of most major road. We've got a dual carriageway. So 2 rows of traffic on each side of the road, but not a motorway. Then we've got this. Then we've got the main road, which is just that red one, and then the yellow one is the secondary road. And I think there's a rule about the width of the road. That's how they define them. Something like if it's more than 4 meters wide, then it's classed as a main road, rather than a secondary road is less than 4 meters wide. It's something like that. Maybe you could find that out. So those are road maps, pretty handy if you need to find somewhere. Okay, I think we've got 2 more. We've got topological maps. The topological map is a simplified map which shows only the vital information without any unnecessary detail. It's not giving us anything else but the clear information, and it's a much more simplified version of the map. These maps don't have a scale or a direction, but they're really useful to show the relative locations of places on the map. What is this map showing? Alba, straight in with the underground trains. Yeah, that's a map of the London Underground. You can see all the stations there and all the different lines. So a very simplified version. If you actually saw all of those tunnels in real life, I'm not sure they'd be quite that neat, but it shows us really easily how to get from different stations around on the underground. So that's a topological map. Right, here we go. This is our last one, a navigation map. Now, this is one you may not have seen. A navigation map is used to pilot a ship. It shows information, including the coastline, so pretty important to show that, water depth, natural features of the seabed, if there's a deep trench or there's any rocks or anything like that, and man-made structures like harbours, lighthouses, bridges, as well as information on tides and currents. So these are crammed full of all the information you'd need to navigate a ship. Why is it important, do you think, to show water depths on these maps? Why do we need to know how deep that water is? What do you think? What do you reckon? If you're on a ship, finding a way, why would you need to know the depth of the water? Yes, Ezra, so boats don't get stuck. So they don't get stuck on land, to alert them to any sort of hazardous areas, to help them plan that safe route. But those measurements have also, the other effect of those measurements, they've become really useful for people studying weather and climate. It's helped to inform studies of that as well. So useful for ships, but also people studying the weather. Right, well done. Yeah, I reckon it's time that we zoomed in. And like I said, today we are zooming in to South Korea and finding out a bit more about it. Let's take a look.
Today we're heading to the fascinating land of South Korea, a country filled with mountains, rivers, islands, and volcanoes. South Korea is a small country in East Asia, sharing a border with North Korea. It's surrounded by water on 3 sides: the Yellow Sea to the west, the Sea of Japan, also called the East Sea, to the east, and the Korea Strait to the south. Did you know that about 70% of South Korea is covered in mountains? The most famous mountain range is the Taebaek Mountains, which run along the east coast. And at the very top of South Korea's mountain list is Hallasan, a huge volcano on Jeju Island. It's actually the tallest mountain in South Korea. But don't worry, it's a sleeping volcano. The Han River flows right through the capital city, Seoul, and is important for water, transport, and recreation. Seoul is the capital of South Korea and the biggest city. It's in the northwest part of the country near the Han River. Over 9 million people live there. It's a mix of old and new. You'll find ancient palaces and temples right next to tall skyscrapers and shopping malls. South Korea has over 3,000 islands. The biggest one is Jeju Island, famous for lava tubes, waterfalls, and delicious tangerines. South Korea's natural geography is full of beauty and adventure. Whether you're hiking up Halasan or watching cherry blossoms fall, there's always something amazing to see in this wonderful country.
Okay, who fancies going to South Korea? I definitely do now. It does look amazing. And spot on, Malachi. Thanks for that comment. Yes, it is a peninsula, the Korean peninsula, and South Korea is the southern part of that. So meaning it kind of sticks out into the water, doesn't it? Away from the land. So surrounded by water on 3 sides of the country. Right, let's have a little look then at Asia. See if we can pinpoint South Korea and a few other countries. So we've got our map of Asia here, but how many of these countries can we identify? What do you think? Can you identify any of those ones that I've numbered? Or maybe you know a few others. See if we can get some of these between us all. I reckon we can. Do you know which one South Korea is? I'll give you a clue to that one. The number pretty much covers the whole country. What do we think then to these numbers? Okay, so Ezra thinks that number 4 is Russia. What do you think? Do we agree with Ezra? South Korea, Arthur and Tobias say, is number 8. Well done. And number 2, we think, is China. Ezra thinks number 1 is India. Number 8, South Korea. Well done, Ezra. Number 2, we've definitely got number 2 is China. Okay. Well, Malachi, look at this. Wow, you've been studying the maps. So Malachi thinks number 1, India, number 2, China. Yeah, I think lots of people agree with that. Now, Malachi reckons number 3 is Mongolia. Did anyone else get that one? Let's have a look. Number 7, Tobias is in for number 7, saying that one is Japan. And what about, which one haven't we got? Number 6 we haven't got. And what about 5? Anyone got any ideas for number 5? We need that one too. Number 6, Malachi's in again with number 6, Kazakhstan. Do we agree with that? What do you think? Malachi, you definitely know your countries. Number 5, Indonesia, we think. What do we think? Do we agree? Or could it be Malaysia? Or could it be Borneo? We've got a few different guesses for number 5 now. What do we think? Shall we find out? Right. Oh, Hannah and William Samantha, you're in. Is this your final guesses, you guys? Number 3, Mongolia. Number 1, India. 2, China. 4, Russia. Are we agreeing with these 3? 5, Indonesia. 6, Kazakhstan. Could we have got them all between us all? Let's find out, shall we? Right, so yes, number 1 is India, 2 is China, 3 is Mongolia, just above China there. Then we go to Russia, above that. Down at number 5, Indonesia. Well done if we got that one. Number 6, Kazakhstan. Number 7 was Japan. I know someone said that. And number 8, South Korea. And we can't really see much of South Korea. It's pretty much covered, isn't it, by the number 8. Well done, everyone. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got a map here showing us South Korea, and there's Seoul, the capital city. We can see the Yellow Sea there on the west coast of South Korea, and we can really see that peninsular shape, can't we? It coming out into the sea, so really surrounded. So a lot of coastline in South Korea, a really long coastline because it's almost completely surrounded by ocean. There are many small islands around South Korea, especially in the south and west. Not all shown on that map there, but there are a lot of islands, particularly on that southwest kind of corner. On this map, we can really start to see the islands. Look at all of those islands all dotted around off the coast. And we can see the high elevation of the Taebaek Mountains and the Sobaek Mountains. I should say mountains, not moo brains. Apologies for my terrible typo there. That's a disastrous one, isn't it? So what type of map is this? Well, it's showing us that elevation. So although it's got a few places pinpointed, it's more of a physical map, isn't it, than a political one. And here is Hallasan, the highest mountain in South Korea. It's a big volcano on Jeju Island. It's also a dormant volcano. What does that mean? What does a dormant volcano mean? What do you think? Any ideas what a dormant volcano means? Any ideas? I'll give you a moment to think about it. We heard that word before. Yeah, Ezra, yeah, another way of saying it's sleeping. It's not erupted for a while. It's inactive, hasn't erupted for a long time, Arthur. Yeah, not active anymore. So 3 different categories of volcano. We've got active volcanoes, which do erupt, or fairly regularly, but not every other weekend. And then we've got the dormant volcanoes, which are like they're sleeping. They haven't erupted for a long, long time. And then we've got extinct volcanoes as well. So 3 different types of volcanoes. Oh, and here they are, right, listed. So we've got active, Mount Etna, an example of an active volcano. It can erupt at any time. It's a bit unpredictable, so it's still classed as an active volcano. The dormant volcanoes, they haven't for a really long time. Mount Fuji in Japan, another example of one of those. And then we've got our extinct volcanoes, and they probably won't ever erupt again. Mount Snowdon in Wales is officially a volcano, although not really referred to as that because it's extinct. It's really more of a mountain now. Okay, there's Hallasan. It last erupted 5,000 years ago. So although we say it's sleeping, well, it's having a pretty long snooze, isn't it? It's been asleep for a very long time. So a dormant volcano, it's not like it just hasn't erupted for a few years. This is 5,000 years since it erupted. I'm not sure. That would be an interesting thing to research, wouldn't it? To find out how long they have to go before they're classed as extinct. I don't know that. You could find that out, couldn't you? Cool. Okay, so we found out a little bit about the physical geography of South Korea. What about the climate? Let's have a think about that next. This little slide is taken from the resource pack, our World Explorers resource pack. So you can download that after the session. There's lots more information and activities on South Korea in there. But we're just going to zoom in onto the climate for a moment. So South Korea is temperate, meaning that it has 4 distinct seasons, just like we do here. The winters are longer and colder, though, than our winters. The summers are a lot shorter and a bit more humid. In late summer, typhoons can pass over South Korea, bringing torrential rain, causing floods, causing landslides. Not a great thing. Typhoons, and kind of another word for hurricanes. Generally in Asia, they're referred to as typhoons, but a similar thing to hurricanes. The difference is in elevation. the height of the land mean that South Korea has a huge variety of temperatures. If you think of when we were talking about Antarctica, and we were talking about it being a high elevation in Antarctica, there's lots of elevated land, and that receives colder temperatures, doesn't it? So same in South Korea, because of all the variety of lower level land and then the high mountains, it's got a variety of different temperatures. The capital city, Seoul, the temperature can range from -5 in the winter to 25 in the summer. So the winter may be a bit generally colder than ours, than we have in the UK. Let's have a look at a climate map, shall we? So this is another resource I've included in this week's resources, so you can have a more detailed look at these, and there's some activities that go alongside it too. So we've got lots of different climates there. Have a little look at the map. Can you find South Korea on this map? There it is. And we've got, what colour is that? Can we link it up with its climate? We can see that it's a temperate climate. Oh, thanks, Alba. Right, jumping back a bit, the volcano thing, guys. We looked it up. I knew one of you would. And a volcano is extinct if it hasn't erupted since the Ice Age. During the Holocene period, 11,700 years. Alba, thank you very much. You've solved that mystery for us. Yeah, so it's green, South Korea, and that's temperate. So the same climate to us. You can see that line moving across the green. And there's some areas of fluctuation, but generally, yeah, there's a band of green that goes across there. So very different to the other places we've looked at so far in World Learners. Oh, there you go. Little arrow to South Korea there. So think about the other areas we've looked at. We looked at Antarctica. The temperature's rarely going above freezing. Precipitation is really scarce. So that's a polar region. We looked at Nigeria, which is tropical. Consistently hot and muggy, lots of rainfall, high temperatures all year round. And then we looked at Romania last week, and then this week South Korea, and that has a temperate climate. So moderate temperatures with distinct seasons. They have a summer and an autumn and a winter and a spring, but without the extremes of the tropical or polar regions. So no wet season like Nigeria experience. Okay, right. I reckon time for a little demo. What do you reckon, guys? Yeah, let's do it. Right, what have I been concocting this week for us all? Have a little look. We're sliding. Let's move. Okay, here we go. Now, it may not look like it, everybody, but this is, in fact, the Indian Ocean. Welcome along. Lovely and warm. Ooh, I wouldn't mind a dip in the Indian Ocean. Now, we mentioned earlier about typhoons and about similar to hurricanes. A typhoon is generally, it's a strong storm, and it happens over the ocean, or at least it begins over the ocean. It brings really strong winds, heavy rain. It can cause floods and damage when it hits land, when it hits our lovely South Korea over here. It's kind of like a spinning storm. So what causes typhoons? What do we think? Have we got any guesses? Do we know what might cause them? They begin over the ocean, but what do you think? What causes these? What do you reckon? I think I said Indian Ocean. I meant Pacific Ocean. Sorry, everybody. Those little moments. Any ideas what causes typhoons? I can just about lean round and see the chat. What do we think? A temperature change, Ezra. Yeah, it is to do with temperature. We're spot on. Is it the wind, Alyssa? Yes, I think you're right too. I think those two comments together, we're getting it. So we've got our lovely warm ocean. It's like a hot bath, and that's heating up the air above it. So we've got nice warm air here. But what happens to that warm air? It's going to rise, isn't it? Because warm air will rise into the sky. Up it goes. Warm air rising from the, into the sky. As that warm air rises, up it goes. What happens next is the more air rushes in to take its place. Here comes our cool air rushing in to take its place. And this movement of this going up and this rushing in, things start to get windy. That creates wind. This rising water vapor in the air cools and condenses and forms into tiny water droplets. And what does that form? That forms clouds. Clouds and rain. I think I've really lost it this week. Here we go. Here's our cloud. So our water vapor is cooled. It's created all these tiny droplets, and we've got clouds and we've got rain happening. But this cycle keeps going. So our clouds, our warm air rises. Think of it like a constant cycle. The warm air pushing up and forming the clouds, the cool air rushing in. And this is what starts to build into that big spinning storm. The cool air blowing in, the cool air forming the clouds, the rain gets stronger, the wind gets stronger, it becomes a spinning storm. It becomes a typhoon. So typhoons are kind of like giant engines powered by this warm ocean water. So why does South Korea get typhoons? Because it's so close to the Pacific Ocean, where lots of typhoons form. During the summer and the autumn, particularly August, September time, this ocean is really warm. So typhoons form and sometimes move north towards South Korea. Up they go and hit the coastline there. Not every typhoon hits South Korea, but some do. But what happens when this typhoon hits the land? Does it get worse when it hits land? Or does it weaken? Does it get better? What do you think? Well, hurricanes and typhoons generally, they get their energy, they get their power from the heat source, which is the ocean, from the heat and moisture from the ocean waters. Once they hit land, that energy source is cut off. It loses its fuel, doesn't it? Uses its power. And so the storm will weaken really quickly. The rough surface of the land also creates friction. So it distorts the airflow. If you think of it as this cycle, like we showed, as it hits land, that friction is going to ruffle up the air. So it's going to stop its cycle being quite so strong. And it will weaken. There we go. Bye, South Korea. Hello again. It's always a relief when I turn this back and I see that you're all still there. You haven't wandered off. Let's go and have a drink. Right. Well, hopefully that explains a little bit about typhoons. But if that interests you, why don't you find out more about different weather phenomena? Find out what makes them happen, where they occur and why. I found that really interesting, exploring that this week and coming up with a way to demonstrate it to all of you. Right then, I thought, for a change, what would we focus on next? We'll move away from climate, shall we? And let's focus on the animals of South Korea. I've got a little game for us to play here to try and identify some of these animals. And you might have come across some of these already if you've been looking at Asia this week. Some of them not just specific to South Korea, but other Asian countries as well. But some are native animals to South Korea. So let's have a look here. What do you think this animal is? Can we fill in the blanks to work out what this animal could be? So 3 words. I reckon you might be able to work out what the last word might be. Let's reveal some vowels, see if that helps us. Ezra's got a guess already. What do you think? Does that help us at all? I reckon we can all work out that last word. It's really unusual, isn't it? Looks like it's kind of wearing a V-neck jumper. Right, let's reveal a few more letters. Have we all got it? What do you think? Can we work it out? The something bear. I like that. Is that you, Alyssa? We think we've got it. I think lots of you are saying the same. Could it be the Korean black bear? Yes, it is. Well done. The Korean black bear. It's sometimes called the Asiatic. I can't say that word. Asiatic black bear. It's got this distinctive white V on its chest, sometimes more pronounced than others. That's the best picture I could find to show you that. It's really rare, mostly found in protected national parks. Let's have a look at another. We've got a hyphen in this, so the first two words are hyphenated. Something. So we've got a bird this time. Well, what do you think it might be? If you were going to name that bird, what would you call it? Can you identify maybe the category of birds it might be in? You might have seen similar birds. What do we think? Shall we drop in a few vowels? Oh, Grace says, is it a type of crane? Grace, I think you're on the right track there. Let's drop in some vowels. It does look like a heron, doesn't it? I think Grace was right with the crane. What do we think? What could that first word be? Have a look at the features of the bird. Should we drop in a few more letters? There we go. Does that help us? Red something crane. Ezra, can we get that last word now? What do you think? I'm liking all these ideas. The sea-spotted crane. Caden, you'd call it the red-headed heron. Yeah, I reckon you might change your guess now you've seen some more letters. What do you think? Well done, those of you that said the red-crowned cane. And I think someone got it really early. Who was that? I can't remember. Somebody, Arthur, that was you, wasn't it? I think you got that so early. Well done. The red-crowned crane. You can see why it was called that, can't you? Beautiful bird. Right, we've got one more animal. Can you tell me what this animal is? Any ideas? We get the type of animal. We've got an amphibian here. What type of amphibian have we got? Shall we drop in the vowels? Right, is that helping us? Is it a dart frog, Ezra thinks? There's something frog. Is it a jumping tree frog? A poison dart frog? Korean leaf frog? These guesses are brilliant, guys. What do you think? Alyssa, I think part of your guess was right. What could that first word be, though? Right, let's add a few more letters. Does that help us now? That first word's the tricky one, I think, isn't it? We know, so we're all agreeing it's something tree frog, but what's that first word? I'll give you a clue here. Not only found in South Korea. Well done, those of you that said, yeah, we got it. The Japanese tree frog. Fantastic, well done. Brilliant. Well, you were good at that, guys. Well done. So some interesting wildlife in South Korea. What about the landmarks? We'll finish up today by looking at a few different South Korean landmarks. I wonder if you can spot them. We've got another game. I got carried away with the games this week. Right, spot the South Korean landmark. We've got 3 different landmarks here, but only one of them can be found in South Korea. Which one do you think? And can you identify the other ones? There's bonus points on offer here. if you can identify the other ones. Which one do you think is found in South Korea? And what are those other ones? Have you seen those before? Or could you have a guess at which country those ones might be from? The one on the right, I know we've seen before. What do we think? So we're thinking number 2 is the South Korean landmark. We're all going with middle. Okay, the middle one. What do you think for the other ones? We think number 1 is China. Could it be the Great Wall of China? Well done. Yes, so we got it right. Number 2 is the South Korean landmark. I'm going to give this my best shot, and I almost definitely am pronouncing this wrong. The Gyeongbokgung Palace in Seoul. And then we've got the Great Wall of China, and that's the Palace of Parliament in Bucharest in Romania that we did see last week. Let's have a look at another 3. Right, which one of these is the South Korean landmark? I think we saw it in the video we watched earlier. What do you think? And can you identify the others? What do you reckon? Alba thinks it's the first one. The one on the left, we think, is South Korea. Lots of you are agreeing that it's number 1. Ezra's even naming that feature. All of you agree. What about the others? Can you name those? Do you recognise them? Have you come across those before? Let's have a look what they are. So yes, we've got the Namsan Seoul Tower is the South Korean one there on the left. And then we've got the Burj Khalifa in Dubai and the Empire State Building in the USA. Those 2 not in South Korea. Shall we try another? Right, spot the South Korean landmark here. Which one do you think can be found in South Korea? Oh, well done. Quite a few of you got the Burj Khalifa and the Empire State. Well done, guys. Don't worry if you've got none right. It's quite often a guessing game, isn't it? Have a guess. What do you think? Can we notice similar things about the architecture of these different buildings? As we've looked at them, what have you noticed? Are there any similarities with the South Korean buildings and structures? I think with this area of the world, quite often it's the roofs, the shape of the roofs that kind of give it away, give us a clue. Have a little look. Okay, so we think the left one could be Germany, Berlin. We're going with the middle for South Korea. I think most people, and the other one, Paris. Do you reckon? I reckon you might have all 3. What do you think? Shall we see? Yes, well done. The Sungnimun Gate, to practice my pronunciation, is in South Korea. Then we've got the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. You were spot on. A couple of you said that. And the Arc de Triomphe in Paris was the other one. Right then. We've got one more. Have a look at these. Which one do you think is the South Korean landmark? Oh yeah, a couple of people agreeing with me. Quite often it's the roof that gives us a clue. So that might help you this time, Alyssa. What do you reckon? Is it 1, 2, or 3? We're all in agreement that it's number 3. Can you name the others? If we think that one is the Korean one, what are those other 2, or which countries are they in? Certainly one of those I think we looked at way back when we did the Wonders of the World topic. Remember doing that? And Oh, that was a while ago, wasn't it? I think that might almost be a year ago. I'm testing our brains now then, aren't I? What do we think then? The middle one is Petra in Jordan. You think far right is South Korea. Noah and Theo, I think you're spot on with that one. Petra in Jordan. Let's have a look. Oh, Aurora, you agreed with that as well. Well done. So yes, we've got the South Korean landmark, the Baekhyangsa Temple, and the middle one was Petra in Jordan, and then the Angkor Wat in Cambodia was the other one. Well done. Great landmark spotting, everybody. That was brilliant. Right, shall we round up then by having a quick look at the resources we're sharing for this week so you can carry on this learning. Remember, that's the point of our live lessons, is to give you that little start, and then you can go and explore it some more. And we've left lots of things here for you to be to keep busy with and to find out more. Two different activities here, one looking at the different types of maps, so you can recap what we've done today, and there's a quiz in that PowerPoint as well that you can go through to test your knowledge of the different types of map as well. And the world biomes and climates maps that I showed you earlier. Again, there's an activity to do in those. And you can spend a bit of time looking at those, studying those different areas. See if you can work out where some of your favourite countries are, how they fit within the world biomes map and the climate map. And a little interactive South Korean map. We haven't really looked at a lot of the different places in South Korea, so this might be an interesting one to have a go at, to label some of those places, learn a little bit more about the major cities in South Korea. And then, of course, we can't forget our World Explorers bumper pack filled with things. If any of you are keeping project books for our world topic, this is, again, great for lots of kind of cutting and sticking, keeping things together and keeping all your learning in one place, which is a great way to do it. I know some of you have been making lap books and things out of these resources. And there's a PowerPoint as well in there, all about the different aspects of South Korea. We focused on the climate earlier, but there's more information on the wildlife and the physical geography of the country. Right. Next week, it's our final World Learners session. So join me, because we're heading to Samoa next week to map our glorious world. We're going to have a big bumper maps quiz next week, as well as, next week, what do you think about this? We won't be zooming out and zooming in. We're going to be zooming in and zooming in. And hopefully that will all become clear next week when we have a look at our maps again. So thank you for joining me today. Have a brilliant rest of your day, everybody. And I'll see some of you for Magic Suitcase or for Pathfinders at some point before we're all here again next Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining in. See you soon.